What is it that men want more than anything else? And it's not what most women think. I thought it was just sex. No? Thank you so much for joining us today on Second Act TV. Today, I'm so happy to introduce a new guest to Second Act, relationship expert and life coach, Bob Grant. Bob, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Zach. It's nice to be here. Appreciate you having me.
No, I'm excited to have you. Good topic of discussion. What do men really want? Well, Bob is the founder of Relationship Headquarters, his practice where you primarily coach women how to understand men and what men really want in a relationship. And that's where I want to direct our conversation for this segment. What I read on your website and that really caught my attention is, what is it that men want more than anything else? And it's not what most women think. I thought it was just sex. No?
That's the easy answer, I know.
So what is it that men really want, crave more than anything else?
So for men, and there's been books written about it, but the core thing between respect and trust, it's that admiration that they feel from a woman. Because to be able to show off or be the hero to a woman that they really want to impress does something for our ego that's hard to describe. It makes us feel special because it combats that core fear that every man has, which is, am I enough? And every man has that to some degree or another in different aspects of their life.
So what you're saying is not, just being this little lapdog and with the big eyes. There's some key factors that really need to be in place, right?
Yeah, the thing I like what you said is that when folks just want to do that, big eyes, act like you don't have a brain, laugh and giggle all the time, it's not that those are necessarily bad things, but when that's the main thing you rely on, that just comes across, you're like a high school girl, no offense to high school girls, but it's that demonstrating value first. And this is more about your own intelligence, your own personality, who you are, because what makes that really valuable is that when there's a time to say no, or something that's either inappropriate or you don't like, that you say that then when you reward him with those things, the way you look at him, you smile, it means a lot more because it's not like you're just doing stuff to make him happy or because he wants it. It feels a lot more authentic from you because you'll point out when stuff doesn't go well just as much as when there's stuff you really like.
What you're essentially saying, if I'm getting this right, is that if you don't respect the woman, really, that goes for anybody. If you don't respect the person who's giving you praise or compliments, it really doesn't mean anything, right?
It really doesn't. We find this all the time with either friends or people at work have this issue of it, because it sounds like you're just doing this because I want to hear it, or you're just doing this to get something, versus it's just a reaction to something you like. Because remember, for men, ladies, men love cheat sheets. Every man listening, I promise. If you don't admit this, I think you're lying. Every man loves a cheat sheet, as in what works with her. What does she like? And we know the general things because some women like flowers. There are some that don't. Some women like X and some don't and stuff. And every woman has her own sort of code. And it takes a little bit to figure that out. And a woman's reaction is what tells him, oh, that works. And sometimes even what women think they like isn't necessarily what they like. I mean, they may be close, but a man has to experience it. And the reaction is what tells him I should do more of that.
So mutual respect and understanding between the two is just really, really important in making that work. This was interesting. You must understand what he likes about himself. So not only do you need to be respected, but if you compliment him on something that he actually cares about, is that what you're saying?
Yes, and let's make it even bigger.
Okay.
It's because within, I'm a member of a couple of men's groups, and one of the things the guy talks to us about, all different practices, is there's a dream and a core that all of us have, and a lot of men just get comfortable with suffering or just kind of doing the thing they do. And it doesn't matter what the thing is, but when a woman hears that and she breathes life into that, nothing else, just by listening, paying attention, that makes him feel like she gets him. Oh, and he feels that. It's not just that he hears it. He can feel it. And it doesn't mean that she has to love that thing or that she wants to do it or that has to be her thing. But all of a sudden it seems like, oh, this is someone understands it. And that makes him more likely to do it, because the more he feels that she gets it and she likes it and maybe even encourages it, that makes him want to be around her more and more.
Yeah. And you're saying, and maybe we should have said this at the beginning too, these attributes that we're describing, which are very, personality based, they trump anything about, looks or age or, I mean, that's really what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, because if I had to pick between the two, I wouldn't want to, but if I had to, is that those things are something a man's going to feel deeper. I mean, because even with attraction, every man, every woman has had this too. We've seen someone, they're really pretty or really handsome, and then they open their mouth. And you just kind of cringe, and maybe they're having a bad day. I'm not putting them down, but that's why, I mean, looks are wonderful. I'm not minimizing them, but they only go so deep and so far. So these characteristics are what actually makes the person, remember, feeling understood. For men, feeling like a woman gets you doesn't happen often. Some of this is because men, we keep stuff to ourselves. But when it feels like she gets us, that's just like a different world for us. And so it is, you're right. It's not enough just to, for lack of a better term, smile and be pretty.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's bad.
No, well, and really, you're speaking here to the 50 plus audience. And when we grew up, we were conditioned really to be like that. And now that we're back on the dating scene, or those of us who are, we carry a lot of those beliefs into finding new love. And that's why I think the conversations are important, that while it's nothing earth shattering, it's something I haven't thought about in a while. Especially you must understand what he likes about himself. That got me to think again in my relationship, maybe I don't compliment him. How could I do this better? So I think these points are great. The third thing that you say here is that don't keep your thoughts to yourself, meaning compliment him, say it, right?
Yeah, a lot of times is that, especially when it comes to thoughts or feelings, is that women, at least I talk with, they feel certain things, they like certain things, but they don't want to come across as needy or overdoing it or exaggerating it. Don't want to be silly. And in an attempt not to do that, what they end up doing is they keep more stuff inside, and he doesn't get that signal. And for every lady watching, ladies, I promise you, men need signals. It's not that we're not smart, it's that we don't read minds. And those gestures that you do that are obvious to you and to your friends and to your girlfriends and your family are not obvious to us. Even if you tell us a couple of times, it's still not always obvious. We have to have it a number of times. And it isn't just the fun ones, and we like the fun ones. But sometimes when a woman's unhappy too, I've talked to a lot of clients that'll keep stuff inside because I don't want to complain, I don't want to whine, don't want to. I get that part, but how's he going to know? Because he might think he's doing something you like. And you act like it's no big deal. You're going to get more of that. Neither one of y'all are going to be happy. So the idea is, what I like is helping him to make you happy, not necessarily demanding, but just helping him, because as men sort of pick up on those cues, we really are binary in this regard. This works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work, and we don't do the complexity that women do. So I listen to clients. I'm still fascinated after all these years how complex women can look at something and analyze it and things I wouldn't even thought of, but they see it all. It's like they see it all, they feel it all, and there's no way people say, "Oh, get over it." It doesn't work that way, at least for the women I talk with.
Yeah. No, I'm laughing because I just had that conversation with my boyfriend. He's like, well, how could you not see this? We were talking about somebody else, and to me it was so obvious what was going on with them. And anyway, so yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. You said something that's interesting is that, you don't speak up, or you think you're going to overdo it. One thing that I feel often is I do feel kind of silly, or I'll say it in almost a kidding way. And I guess that's not right either.
Well, it's not. Usually when folks do that, I'm guessing with you, is that it feels vulnerable to do that.
Yes. Because
when I say a compliment, I'm genuine. Someone could make fun of me. They might, not necessarily be ugly to me, but brush it off, whatever. Because when we're giving and we're open, that's arguably the most vulnerable we're going to be.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why men tend to be sort of cautious with it, is, to give someone something, to ask somebody out, to take a risk. Not that it's going to, but the fear is she'll say no, or are you kidding? And that still happens over 50. Okay, anybody says that same fear is still there. Yeah. It doesn't go away because you're not 18 years old anymore. That's going to be there probably until the end of your days. But that vulnerability is also where the authenticity comes from and the power comes from. But I tell clients a lot of times, I go, if you're a little nervous, I said, you're probably doing it right. I said, if you're scared out of your mind, let's slow down. But if you're a little, because that nervousness, he'll pick up on it. I still remember this was back in college. A friend of mine, him and his wife, she had set me up on a blind date. Had no idea. I remember she walks in, and my first thought was, cool. She did a great job. And so the young woman, sat down in the course of this, and she was kind of chatty. After about 5 minutes in, she says, she goes, I was so nervous he wouldn't like me. And that was so flattering. And I don't really think she thought that through as a strategy. I just think she was nervous. Then she got talking, but that didn't make me think less of her. If anything, I probably sat up straight more. I was like, hey, and that's how it comes across when not just when men do it, but especially when women do it. Mm-hmm. That's like, oh, okay, that means I can invest more in her, take more of a chance in her, because ultimately what he wants is, how can I be her hero? How can I show off? How can I be the stud?
Yeah. We have a lot of men listening here. We actually, it always surprises me when I see how big of a male audience we have. So I'm interested in the comments we're going to get. Do you agree? Is this how men feel? Is this what you want women to know? So please do leave your comments. We'll interact with you later. One thing you said that I want to go back to is when you're nervous, meaning that, nervousness can sometimes prevent you from maybe giving either an authentic compliment or, just not saying it right. And you have a really great tip on giving compliments, especially if the person receiving it, is kind of, oh, no, you don't mean that, or yeah, you're just saying that. Tell me how to handle that.
And especially because if it's a compliment, if we think of a compliment as a gift, mm-hmm. And that when you're giving someone, a lot of times they'll doubt you, especially men will doubt you because it feels really vulnerable to receive it. Mm. It's really awkward, uncomfortable, and they may minimize it. And if it's something like, nice shoes or, something you don't care, if it's something you really mean, what I tell folks is when you're complimenting, that's the time to be a bully. And this is what I mean. See, you're not asking them, you're telling them. Mm. And I've had folks literally tell them and said, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. You are the kindest man I know. You are really loyal, and I want you to know how much I appreciate that. And see, when I'm slowing it down like that, in fact, I'm not asking, that makes it safer for a man to receive it. Now, you don't want to do this every day, but don't get distracted. When someone minimizes that, what that tells me is they're feeling it deeply. I want to go in deeper. Those moments don't come often, and I'm doubling down because that's the hope, is that I hope she really means it. I mean, I tell men the same thing. But a lot of times women sometimes will forget because they'll talk and share a lot. And I'm like, slower, be more focused with it and stuff. And when you're creating a moment with him that you get him, and see, this also helps when it comes to pointing stuff out later, having a conflict. It's what you're showing him is you're going to see him the good as well as the mess ups. You're going to be just as ruthless when he does something well and pointing it out and staying with it as if he messes up. That's why it won't matter as much if you say the wrong thing later, or you have a bad mood on a Tuesday and stuff. But those things won't matter as much. He'll remember those that, wow, she really thinks I'm brave. He won't say that out loud, but he'll feel it. I mean, any guy watching, tell him what you think of that.
Yeah. Well, again, something you just said that really hit home for me is that when somebody waves off a compliment, they want to hear more. That's why they're waving it off. They want to go deeper. I mean, again, it seems so obvious, but it just really struck me because, like I said, again, I always relate things back to me. I guess what we do. But, Paul will just go, oh, no, yeah, right. I really look good today or this. And it's like, yeah, you really do. But the way I deliver it wasn't right. And then, yeah, this is so, I love this. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, you're, and sometimes, we'll say stuff because we don't necessarily know they're going to deflect it. And the nice thing is, even if we say it, the right way or whatever, it's the second thing in following up. And because of this, I mean, you're not going to do this, or I won't either with everything. I mean, it's too much effort. But those times when I really mean it, and usually we'll get a feeling like, and this happens with men, when I tell men this, is they'll say it and the woman dismisses it and they're like, oops, does she not like flowers or did she not, whatever? I go, no, take the risk and take a step toward her. I understand it sounds like she didn't like it. It sounds like it's a different feel when she doesn't like it. It won't be that. There'll be no energy in the room. Mm-hmm. I said, if you really meant it, double down. That'll mean the world to her. Yeah. And from when that'll mean the world to him, because these moments don't happen a lot of times. But the more you train them that, look, you don't get to tell me what I like. If I think you're a stud or handsome or really pretty, I'm not asking. And see, even that's my personality. Everybody can use their own personality.
Yeah.
But see, even with your personality, it still works because of the conviction.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great tip. We're starting to get to the end. One other point you had on here that I think is worth mentioning, maybe in closing. Let's talk about that. Is that what men say they want is not really what they want. That this is another thing that women need to understand in this whole communication process. Talk to me about that. What do you mean by that?
So oftentimes when a woman will ask a man something, she thinks he has a clear understanding of what he wants, as opposed to when I said men are binary, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of not kidding. Because men really tend to think of what works, doesn't work, and they're much more short-term oriented relationship-wise. I mean, like as far as what's going on now. And so as far as what do I want, I used to do this webinar and we would talk about men have these boxes in their brains and there's all these different places they put it in. And one box is the nothing box. It's a great place. We don't think about anything. We just kind of veg out. And everyone I've talked to is like, what's a nothing box? I don't have one. I'm like, you don't. I'm generalizing, but the women, you don't have a nothing box. Every box in your brain is kind of interconnected. Yeah. Men have that. So when you say, what do you want? Unless it's really urgent, not hungry, not scared, not what do I want for a relationship, not to fight. I mean, those questions don't mean a lot beside the basic stuff. But as a woman starts to listen to a man over time, and this is the gift women have, she starts to understand what he likes and doesn't like and help bring that to life. Because the women get to know a man, she starts to learn his preferences. I mean, even subtle things about colors he likes, how she likes her to dress, all those things. But even deeper things. And as she listens and she's curious, just somewhat curious, that's how she draws his dreams out. And a lot of times men don't realize that until they start verbalizing it, because now they've got someone that cares and listens. And it's like, oh, a lot of times men will tell me, I didn't realize how much this meant to me, how much I liked it until she, they use different words, but, she encouraged it or she talked to me about it. But really, it's just her paying attention, I mean, actually a lot like you're doing there. Every woman watching, what's like he's right there. I mean, that's a great for men, even though it's an interview now. When men see that, it's like, I get nervous. I've got a woman's undivided attention. I'm really nervous. I mean, and you want that for him to feel that. Again, that's the bonding thing.
That's great. Well, we can talk about this forever. In closing, any last thoughts on the praise and admiration that you want to leave for our audience?
I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is I don't know that women realize just how much for us men we crave that. And the problem is men aren't going to ask for it. Because to ask for it, every man's done some degree, comes across as whiny, needy, worse. But if a woman knows that actually becomes her secret. If she knows what he wants, that her attention, her admiration is more than, he can verbalize much more than he realizes. That's the stuff that not only keeps him devoted, but keeps him coming back for more and more and more.
Yeah, great advice. Bob, I'll link to all of your information to your website. You have lots of information, lots of programs that women can access to get answers to all these questions about what men really want. And I look forward to having you back again on Second Act TV.
Thanks, Lucky. I enjoyed being here.
If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.